Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of Amati Auctions based in the UK, we're going to have a look at their latest sale, which is a specialist auction. Now this auction is finishing on the 26th of June, it's the 17th today, so a few days left to go. So this is one of their higher level auctions, although I think in terms of the high level stuff, this is probably like middle tier for them. Perhaps later in the year they might have a kind of an auction with some higher level stuff, but there are some pretty good things I think in this auction. So there are quite a few lots, I think 230, so we'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. Looks like the buyer's premium is 22% on this sale, so whatever the final hammer price, you have to add that to it. This is a UK based auction, so bear in mind import export fees, shipping, CITES restrictions, all of that fun stuff. Before we get on to looking at the auction, I'd just like to say, if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment, turn on notifications, all of that fun stuff. So yeah, Amati Specialist happening on the 26th of June. Actually, this auction, I believe this weekend they've got a viewing, so I'm going to go and have a look, and I'm going to take some short videos as well, so you might well see a whole load of short videos appearing at some point of me looking at the sale. So yeah, without further ado, as we've got quite a few lots to look at, let's just crack on and see what we've got. We'll try and kind of fly through it here. So we've got a cello, possibly Circle of George Craske, England, 19th century, 2 to 4 on that. Remember on Amati you can kind of spin round and have a look at things. And they also have their kind of colour coded condition report here, so looks like a few things going on here, a few replaced things. I'm not entirely sure what possible Circle of George Craske really means or looks like in this context. I don't think I've seen a Craske cello in person or even seen pictures of one, so I wouldn't really personally be able to recognise one. If it was a violin, I think I'd have a better chance, but anyway, it looks fairly interesting. 224, no bids so far, but this auction has just gone live, I think. A cello by Charles Harris II, London, circa 1820, 18 to 22,000. It's a maker that I don't really know much about, although recently I've seen a few instruments, a few bits going on here. Quite an interesting story having looked it up. So it seems like he was taught by his father, Charles Harris I, then in some kind of stroke of luck ended up inheriting a lot of money, became a member of the aristocracy, blew all his money, and then went back to violin making and somehow got involved with the Hills, I think with William Ebsworth Hill. So interesting character, and a quite nice looking cello there, and I think quite a regarded maker. The estimate is quite high, so but yeah, interesting. A cello, France, circa 1890. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit further. Let's see if we can make stuff a little bit easier on ourselves. It's just sometimes a bit difficult if we can't see all of the pictures in one go, so maybe we're going to have to deal with that. Looks like a soundpost crack on the back. No, I'm not sure. I'm not seeing anything on the condition report. Let's see. That looks slightly, could just be a scratch, but looks in a bit of an odd place. But anyway, with everything, look at the condition reports, view things in person if you can. Cello, School of Hardy, Scotland, circa 1810. Now this cello has been in a few auctions now. I think this cello is amazing, and I think it's gone down in price like a fair bit. Like if I had the money, I'd definitely buy this. I think it's really, really interesting cello. I think it looks quite stunning like in person. This is kind of interesting, this replaced wood at the top. I'd be interested to look at it with UV and just see kind of if it is replaced or if it's just like an extra piece because they run out. Just be curious. But this cello, yeah, I've seen it a few times and I definitely still really like it. So we've got a cello circa 1900. Let's have a look at this. Just nothing super exciting there, but there's a bid on it already. Cello, probably Bohemia, 1760. Just going to blaze through this. Mark Nikirkin, 1850. Cello, Germany, late 19th century. Cello 1900, Germany. Another 1900. This kind of stuff to me is fairly uninspiring. Cello by Percy Lee, London 1923. Once again, no idea who Percy Lee is, to be honest. Probably just offended someone now. But anyway, it looks like quite a nicely made cello. It's got 2,000 bid on already, 2 to 4, so interesting. I need to look up that maker. Cello by Walter Johnson, London 1921. Once again, not a name I really recognise, to be honest, but there's so many makers out there. 2 to 4 on that. Cello, School of Klotz, circa 1760. This is an interesting cello. 5 to 10, already a 5 bid on it. This is definitely a curious one, this one. Let's have a look. Sorry, at the condition report. So a few things happening here. It's not terrible, though, to be fair, for the age of it. Really interesting looking cello there. So I think that will do pretty well at the auction. Cello probably England, 1890. Kind of curious back on that. Scroll. Cello by Thomas Kennedy, circa 1810. Always kind of quite nice instruments, Kennedys. That's unfortunate, kind of replaced wood on the front. Do see that on a few instruments, unfortunately. But 6 to 10 and current bid 6.5. Interesting. These are quite popular Kennedys and the Forster cellos. Although in some of the auctions we saw some of these and they didn't sell that well, but maybe this is in overall better condition. Cello Germany in 1910. I suspect this is going to be fairly similar, although we're being blocked by the powers that be in terms of images. Cello Workshop of L. Bausch. So a lot of this stuff looks fairly similar there. Cello probably 19th century. A lot of it is very difficult to see what's going on. Cello Workshop of E.R. Roth. This is a modern Roth cello, doesn't look super exciting. Cello France label J. Merlot. Current bid 2 on that. JHL cello here. JHL stuff is getting more popular. Another JHL here. Looks like it has a bit of damage on the front. Cello probably France 1890. Yeah, fairly similar. That I don't mind so much actually, 4 to 600. Right, we're on to some bows here. Silver mounted cello bow, School of Percat there. So 1.5 to 2 on that. Silver mounted cello bow by Victor Ampere with a Raffin certificate there. Wow, 8 to 12, starting bid 8. Quite a nice head on that. See what the condition report says. A few little bits there on the frog, not uncommon. Silver mounted violin bow, possibly France, circa 1910. Nickel mounted cello bow, France, 1910. Okay. Silver mounted cello bow, Workshop of Grunker, Germany. These can be pretty good bows. 325 bid on it already, so good opportunity there. Ivory mounted transitional cello bow by A.R. Bultitude, Hawkhurst, circa 1970. Starting bids of 1,000. It's just a problem with ivory stuff. Let's carry on. Another ivory mounted cello bow there, also starting at 1,000. Silver mounted cello bow, not much other information there, quite nice pins on the adjuster. Prosper Colas, nickel mounted cello bow, Workshop of Prosper Colas. The internet is seemingly quite slow today for whatever reason. It's gone to sleep. Silver mounted cello bow. Silver mounted cello bow by August Weichold. Silver mounted cello bow branded G. Rudy Steinel. Silver mounted cello bow 20th century. Silver mounted cello bow by John Stagg, Bristol. These are pretty nice bows. John Stagg, really good maker there. Estimate 1 to 2, current bid 1, not too surprised. This is a really good maker. Silver mounted cello bow, Germany. Let's carry on if we can. Silver mounted cello bow by Alban Hums, Germany. We get some bids already. Silver mounted cello bow by John Clutterbuck, Bicester. Also another good maker there. It's quite a nice bow. 1,000. So a lot of these will do pretty well, I think. Silver mounted cello bow by John Dodd, London, circa 1810, 2 to 4. Interesting frog, an interesting head on that bow. It's quite curious. 2 to 4. Silver mounted cello bow by J.E. Vickers, Wisbech, or Beach, I think it's pronounced, or Beck, who knows. It's one of those places where everyone argues, I think, about how to pronounce it. Silver mounted cello bow by Hermann W. Prell, Germany. Silver mounted cello bow by A. Knoll, Germany. There are actually quite a lot of cello bows, it seems. Not a lot of speed of internet and pictures today, though. It seems to really not want to bother doing anything, which is quite annoying. But there we go. Silver mounted viola bow by A.R. Bultitude, London. Current bid 1,500 on that. Interesting. See what else you got. Gold mounted viola bow by S.E. Bristow. So some interesting bows. Silver mounted viola bow, Workshop of Finkel. Fairly plain looking, but these Finkel things can be pretty good. Silver mounted viola bow by A.R. Bultitude. So good, really good maker. It's a nice, quite like that. Nice head. I quite like octagonal bows, actually. I think they're pretty interesting. Nickel mounted viola bow, probably Meercourt, circa 1850. 3 to 5 on that. Interesting frog on that. Silver mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartre, Paris, circa 1900, 15 to 25. One of the popular makers at the moment. Let's just check what the weight is of that. 60.84. The ex-Menuhin golden tortoiseshell mounted violin bow by Pierre Patigny, Brussels, sold with Sotheby's invoice. Provenance, the Menuhin collection, important instruments and bows from the collection of the late Lord Menuhin. 16th of November 1999. Estimate 2 to 4. Starting bid 2,000. That's quite an interesting looking bow. I wonder what the condition is. In good condition. An ivory mounted violin bow, probably by John Dodd, circa 1780. Definitely needs a bit of TLC there, but interesting looking. Silver mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill and Sons, circa 1930. 1 to 2 is the estimate on that. Silver mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill and Sons again, with the mark of Frank Napier. So most of the hill makers up to a point had a number or some kind of mark, so you could tell which person made which. Gold and tortoiseshell mounted violin bow by Malcolm Taylor, London. Okay, 1,500 to 2,500 there. Nickel mounted violin bow, circa 1900. Silver mounted violin bow, possibly workshop of Eugene Nicolas Sartre, Paris. So estimates 4 to 6, with starting bids of 4. Once again, the internet deciding not to want to bother anymore, which is really quite frustrating, but we're trying to persevere. Silver mounted violin bow, unbranded. Silver mounted violin bow by Eugene Cugnot, circa 1900, with a Raffin certificate there, 1000 to 1500. Okay, let's have a look at the condition report there. Seems like quite a low, it's got an open crack near the stick there, but not too bad. Looks interesting. Silver mounted cello bow by John Clutterbuck, Bicester. Once again, looks pretty good. Silver mounted violin bow by James Tubbs, London, circa 1880. That's quite a nice looking bow there, 3 to 5 on that. Silver mounted violin bow by Albert Nernberger. It's good, nice quality bows there, 1 to 2. Silver mounted violin bow by Albert Nernberger, Germany. Interesting, 1 to 200 on that. Lift to stick player side. Okay, so some possible issues there. Silver mounted violin bow workshop of Finkel. Silver mounted violin bow by Albert Nernberger, 1 to 2 there. Gold mounted violin bow, Germany, 1930s. Nickel mounted violin bow by JTL there. Silver mounted violin bow by James Tubbs, London, circa 1880. Okay. A silver mounted violin bow by Alfred Knoll. Kind of horn frog on that one. That's kind of curious. Silver mounted violin bow, circa 1850. That's a nice looking bow. Interesting frog. 500 to 1000. Yeah, that's quite nice. Let's have a look at the 60.43. Yeah, that's good. Good condition. I like that bow. That's a nice looking bow. Silver mounted violin bow, probably Paris, circa 1830, 1 to 2. Some quite nice bows in this auction. Nickel mounted violin bow by Meinl, Germany. The JTL there, the JTL bow is pretty good. Bone mounted violin bow, France, circa 1820, 1 to 2 on that. Interesting. I'm a big fan of these bows. I think they're quite curious. Silver mounted violin bow, circa 1900. I suspect there's quite a lot of bows in this auction. Silver mounted bow by Albin Hums. Silver mounted violin bow by C.H. Lamy Fee, Paris, circa 1920. Silver mounted violin bow, unstamped. Nickel mounted violin bow by E.F. Ushar, circa 1925. A silver mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill and Sons, made by William Retford Sr. Okay, 3 to 5, so that's a pretty nice Hill bow there. I think the different makers have a bit of a different reputation. Silver mounted violin bow, possibly by Pierre Simon for JBVO, mounts not original to stick, 1 to 2 on that. Needs a bit of TLC for sure. Right, we're on to violas. Viola, probably Bologna, early 18th century. 10 to 15 on that. What's the current length of back then? 394, it's quite small. So, that's interesting. Likely to have been cut down from a larger instrument. It's kind of curious. Well, that's unfortunate, because could do with being larger, I think. Violin, so it's half-edged, I think that's probably meant to say viola. Chip and wear on violin, I think it's meant to say viola. Some patch there, a few cracks there, some open ones, so definitely a bit of a work, this one. Kind of interesting though. The back, definitely struggling. Yeah, curious. Quite a lot of money though, but interesting. Viola by Clifford A. Hoying, High Wycombe, 1966. That's quite a nice viola. 6 to 10. Let's see the measurements on that. 413. That's good. Length of back. Viola by W. T. Thicket, England, 1938. 1 to 2 on that. Actually looks kind of interesting enough as well. 400, it's not a bad size. Viola by D.G. Britton, Northampton, 1977. They're kind of curious shape to that. It looks, wonder if that has been in one of the other auctions. Looks familiar. 412. Viola by Thomas Dixon, Kendal, 1894. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, interesting enough. Body length 390. Viola by Ernst Heinrich Roth, 1978. Sure that'll be popular, although it is a later one. Viola works with C.A. Gotz, Germany. And a viola, Germany, 20th century. Oh, missed the images there. Length back 398. Viola, France, 1900. Let's see what else we got here. Viola, France, like 1860. That looks quite nice. Yeah, that's quite nice. 2 to 4. What's the measurements on that? 382. It's a bit small. Viola by J. Gunthier, France, 2000. It definitely looks fairly modern there. 2 to 3. Estimate on that. Viola by Martin Hammond, 1989. Okay, 3 to 500 on that one. What's the size of it? 408. That's okay. Viola by Malcolm Smith, Newark, 1977. Body length 410. Viola Workshop of Cabasa, Meercourt, 19th century, 1 to 2 on that. Quite nice back on that. Have a quick look on their body length, that's also small. Viola Meercourt, 1920. I think some of this stuff we don't need to get into too much. Right, we're on to violins already. Right, a violin by Niccolo Galliano, Naples, 1777. Sold with a certificate of J&A Beer, London, 1990. 40 to 60. Okay, so we have a Galliano, which is interesting at quite a reasonable, quite low price really. Possibly showing the hand of an assistant. No condition report on that so far. No bids, but that is interesting. We should have a look at the 3D on that. So that is quite curious. Okay, a violin, probably England, circa 1890, 10 to 15 on that. Quite a nice back, some nice varnish to it, but shame we can't see the front of the scrolls, because I really like looking at the front of scrolls. Violin Mitwald, circa 1900, you can go past that one. France, 1890. I'm not too fussed at looking at some of these things. Made by G.A. Chanot, Manchester, apparently. It's the scribe to Chanot, so interesting. 6 to 10 the estimate. Workshop of JTL there. Violin circa 1900. I think a lot of these I'm just going to go past. I'm not going to bother with. Violin School of Klotz Mitterwald circa 1780. 2 to 4 on that. Not too dissimilar from that cello that they have early on. Violin France circa 1770. Now I think this has been in the auction before as well. I recognise this, and I think actually the whole of this side has been kind of replaced. Violin Circle of J.J. Grandjean Meercourt. It's got a bid already. It's actually kind of fairly interesting. These Grandjean ones actually do sell quite well. Violin Mitterwald, circa 1800, 2 to 4. Yeah, it's quite nice back on that. Interesting scroll. Violin, possibly Sweden, circa 1900. Okay. Violin, probably Scotland, early 19th century. Quite curious outline there. Looks like maybe something funny going on in the middle. A really nice piece of wood actually. It's quite interesting. Quite a cool scroll. So let's have a look at the condition report here. Yeah, I thought there's a few cracks, things going on there in the centre. It's a little bit weird. Interesting violin though. Violin possibly by Marcus Sander, Berlin, 1934. Interesting outline. Violin, 20th century. It's got kind of all these Italian labels. Another 20th century. I think much like Terezio, a lot of these kind of speculative Italian stuff. Another one, 20th century, with a Pistucci label. Violin, 20th century again. I think this one had a bit of fluting there on the F holes. Violin, Germany, Heberlein, kind of makes sense. Violin, Miracle, 1920. Another violin, 20th century. Violin, possibly Istvan Konya. Interesting corners on that. 1986. Violin, early 20th century. The Pistucci label. Varnish looks interesting on that. Quite a cool scroll actually. That I think is pretty cool. Violin, probably Alphonse František Vavra, Prague. Interesting Guarneri F holes there. Actually quite nice back on that as well. Let's have a quick look how big that is. 357, okay, not too bad. Violin, early 20th century. Interesting one on that. Violin, Mittenwald, 19th century. Violin, possibly Italy, 20th century. 1500 to 3000, isn't it? Quite nice looking there. Pedrozzini label. Violin, France, circa 1870. Kind of a bit curious, this slightly enlarged F hole there. Almost looks like it's been punched in the face or something. A violin by Anton Gala, Brno, 1944, 1500 to 3000. This is quite nice actually. I think that's quite a nice violin. Bit of repair going on. Violin, France, circa 1910. Violin by Eric Bruckner. Let's carry on. Violin, France, 1850. Violin by Eugen Gartner, Stuttgart. It's kind of heavy fluting on those F holes for sure. Violin, Miracle, 1850. Violin, probably by K. Vergren, Lubin. Violin, Miracle, 1840. Okay. Violin, 20th century. Aus der Werkstatt Auscher Mittenwald, 1964, 1000 to 2000. She doesn't look too bad. Violin, late 19th century. Also looks kind of interesting. Violin, Mittenwald, 19th century. Violin, Miracle, 1850. Go past that. Violin, France, 1920. Violin School of Nicholas Ain, 1860. Violin School of H. de Razy, 19th century. Really nice back on that one. Nice scroll. 2.5 to 4 on that. Violin, Mark Nikirkin, 19th century. Violin, Workshop of J.A. Bader. Violin, possibly English, 19th century. Okay. Interesting enough. Violin, Mittenwald, 1850. Oh, nice back on that. That's a really nice, interesting back on that. Nice. 800 to 1200. Violin inscribed to Simon Voigt, circa 1768. Like how asymmetrical those F holes are. So definitely curious. Yeah, interesting. 2.5 to 4 on that. Violin by a member of the Klotz family, Germany, circa 1790. 3 to 5 on that. Violin probably France, circa 1800, with a Testore label. Curious. Violin by Rudolf Goetz, Germany. Violin France, circa 1900. Another one, 1900. Violin Mitwald, 80. Actually, let's have a quick look at that. 1890. If we can go back. Interesting purfling here. It's one of those fairly standard violins, actually. Violin by George William Hudson, London, 1915. 4 to 6 on that. Interesting back. Violin by Francois Hippolyte Caussin, Neufchâteau, 1863. 1 to 2 on that. Quite a nice maker. Violin France, 20th century. Right, a violin by Jacob Fent, London, circa 1830. 20 to 40,000 on that. Another nice looking violin, to be honest. That's pretty good. Actually, what is the length of back of that? 355, okay. Violin Germany, circa 1860. Okay. Let's see what else. Violin JTL, skip that. Mirko, 1840. Violin Prague, circa 1800. 3 to 500. That is a curious looking one, almost like kind of Hopf shape, isn't it? So let's have a look at the condition report on that one. There's a few things going on. Violin by Joseph Hill, London, circa 1775. 8 to 10 on that. Violin 20th century. That's quite nice. Looks like it's got a sound post crack on the back though. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Quite a nice looking violin actually otherwise. Interesting. Alphonsius van Hoof. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's kind of curious. I quite like the model on that, and quite like the varnish and the wood choice. Just is a shame about that big soundpost crack here at the back. Otherwise, it looks quite nice. 3/4 size violin, you can skip that. Violin Mirko, 1920. Mitwald, 19th century. Caussin School. Followed by G. Powell, Bridlington. Get past that. Moritz. This is a bonkers one. I'm pretty sure I saw this on one of the other auctions. It's probably in one of my videos. Some bonkers little violin there. 2 to 400 on that. Violin 20th century. Violin probably by Joseph Anthony Chanot, London, 1909. 1 to 2. Interesting as well. Violin 20th century. Antonius Fabiani label. Kind of nice enough looking instrument. Looks quite well made. Just quickly check the back. 355. Violin 20th century. Okay. Violin by George Lott, France, circa 1890. 2.5 to 4.5 there. Yeah, that's also quite nice. What's the size of that one? 357. That's actually okay. Violin by Paul Bailey, Paris, 1887. 10 to 15 on that. So, for those of you that like French violins, nice bird's eye back there. Violin Mirko, 19th century. Violin, possibly Italy, circa 1900, 2-4. Kind of interesting scroll and back there, so curious looking thing. Martin Kirkin violin there. Violin by Alexander Garden, Bankhead 1882. It's kind of curious for some kind of the edge work's a little interesting. That's interesting on the budget side of things. Violin early 20th century. JTL again. Violin by Alexander Smiley and Son in Glasgow 1904. F-hole's been a bit chewed, I think. 500 to 1000. Violin by James Perry Kilkenny, circa 1790. That's quite a cool looking violin. I like that. It's a lot of bits done to the scroll soundpost. So compression, so it's had a few things going on. But interesting enough. Violin. Violin Mitterwald 1820. That's had a bit of a life. Violin by Harvey L. Dealey, 20th century. Okay, French violin, another Mircor, Germany. Right, a violin by Goffredo Cappa, Turin, circa 1680. Head and table by another hand, 15-30. So I think we saw this in one of the previous auctions. Beautiful back on that. Really, really nice looking. Very nice indeed. Yeah, very interesting. Violin 20th century. Violin workshop, probably workshop of Herman Dolling. So, looks fairly standard. Marc Lebert there. Violin France, 19th century. Let's have a look at that. The Bernadelle label, that's kind of alright. Bit of a cheek repair there. Violin by Silem Benecker. Violin Germany, circa 1800. Good wide spaced F-holes there. Violin workshop of Moritz. Violin circa 1820. Head possibly later. That's quite interesting scroll side profile actually. Wonder what the size of that's a David Tekla label. All right, 348. Okay, interesting. It's quite small. Violin workshop of Nicholas Ain, France. Do like the Nicholas Ain stuff, but that one I don't think is too nice. Violin 20th century. This is interesting. Hawks and Son. Artist violin. It's quite nice varnish. Violin by William Wickens. Violin Mittenwald, circa 1800. Okay. Violin France, 1916. Hawks and Sons there. Violin by Howdy Perkins. Violin circa 1900. The Ballesteri label there. Okay. Violin by James McBain, Greenock, 1874. Violin early 19th century. Violin by E.A. Burgess, 1885. Violin School of Klotz, Germany, circa 1780. 2-4. Violin circa 1800. 2. Suspect we must be coming towards the end of this auction now. Violin by Didier Nicholas Ain. Violin France, 18th century, 500 to 1000 there. That's quite interesting. There's inked purfling on the back. Quite curious. Violin, probably Hungary, 20th century. Violin Germany, 20th century, half-size violin. Violin, 18th century England, 2 to 4 on that. That's quite a curious one, quite a bit pinched in the middle. Violin by Arthur Richardson, Crediton, 1923. 2 to 4 on that. Violin early 20th century. Violin by William Robinson, London, 1925. Interesting varnish. Child's violin. Violin possibly by Nicholas Diel, Darmstadt. Right, books here. Violin Bridges 2, Mr. Black's Violins, Dictionary of Violin Bowmakers, Monograph Collection, Antonio Stradivari, Giuseppe Guarneri del Gesù. I think that's the big book, isn't it? That's going to probably sell quite well. Antonio Stradivari, got Nini book, Viome, Golden Age of Violin Making in Spain, Cello String Instruments. Okay. Cello case. And is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. 230. So there we go. That's the entirety of the Amati catalogue. Definitely a few interesting things here and there. Like I said, not necessarily the most exciting of the Amati specialist sales, but definitely has some interesting bits for sure. So if you've got any questions, any thoughts on that auction, please do write in the comments. So thanks a lot for watching as always, and I shall catch you next time. Bye.